All right. Well, as you probably noticed, my name's Trent. In website development, mainly because I absolutely love the field. Got into it when I left high school. So, sorry, I'm gonna have to do it from there. But it was mainly just a sort of a hobby at the time. I've been going for about 7 years now in learning web, HTML, PHP. If any of you have done that sort of stuff before, but there's so much demand for it in the market now. Businesses constantly needing websites done and maintenance, so there's a lot of money in the industry. That was mainly my reason for getting into it, but it's kind of moved now from doing client work to sort of more projects. But I'll just go over myself as a student, because I just recently graduated here at Monash. I was I'm just going to cover a few things today about myself, the company. I just wanted to go over things which are sort of in the like market, apps, smartphones, what's coming up in with technology, and sort of what people are going to have to look forward to. I'll cover that stuff later. So as I said, as a student, I graduated last year, and I was doing the multimedia major down at Berwick. Don't know if any of you are looking to come into studying at Monash, but it's a fantastic course down at Berwick. It's actually moving to Caulfield, I believe, and it's probably one of the best courses of all the universities currently running. I know RMIT does a fair bit of design and sort of art, but Monash's multimedia major is fantastic for learning across all different fields. So you got your database design, web development, as I'm doing. You got computer systems, so you get the more sort of technical side of things. Great course for learning bits and pieces. So when you go into the industry, you know exactly what you're having to deal with when your employer approaches you and says, "Oh, I want you to do this particular task," and you can just go straight ahead and dive right into it. So it was a three-year course. I didn't go for a double degree because I mainly just wanted to get straight out of uni, get that piece of paper, a degree, and then start working pretty much. And as I said, graduated, essentially finished my course last year, but graduated last month. Some of the, graphic work that I've done as part of my course was a bit of 3D work. I was always into that. That was sort of where I started, because I was more sort of creative and I wanted to do things which not many other people were doing at the time. 5 years ago, this sort of stuff wasn't really around. It was a very specialised area, but now sort of everyone's doing it, and you can get a lot of cheap work doing this sort of stuff. Up there, if any of you, does anyone do 3D here? Any sort of 3D work? So you probably know how all this stuff works, and modelling and yeah. Well, what sort of stuff do you use? What programs?
I use SolidWorks, sometimes SketchUp, just
Yep.
architectural stuff.
Right, with AutoCAD as well?
Not really.
No, okay. Yeah, I was using more I guess sort of the creative packages like Maya and 3D Studio Max, and they were, I guess, leading the industry at the time. But anyone who's not really familiar with the 3D work, these objects, so the house and the spanner up there, are all made virtually in the computer, much like these sort of objects and the characters you'd see in games. And it takes ages to put this stuff together. Like I actually modelled a McLaren F1, one of the supercars, and it took me 2 weeks to model it. That was full-time work. And the reason I sort of got out of this sort of line of work was because it just took so long to do, and there was only little reward at the end. I mean, if you're at a company and you're having to put games characters together, I know it might be fun, making your first soldier or whatever it might be, but once you have to do that every single week, day after day, I don't know, to me it seems a bit boring, but and there's not as much return on what you do, because you only see one part of the picture, and then it's when the game comes out, you're like, oh, okay, well, I modelled that. This is one of the pieces of work which I did as part of my course. It was integrating, if anyone's heard of compositing, it's where you integrate 3D animation into live action footage. So you take footage with your camera and then you model the objects in the computer, and then you sort of combine both of them to form this really interesting thing. But you've got to make it look like it's part of the scene. In this case, this was part of a larger movie, and this is only one particular scene out of that. The paper plane folds up from his notebook there, and eventually it sort of flies away. But just showing you sort of combining both the 3D and the live action footage and how that's sort of put together. Play it again, and making it look like it's part of the scene, so it was actually there all along. Are you finding it hard to see the screen? Should I turn the lights off? Move on to myself as sort of more commercial sense. Myself as a web developer, been in the industry, as I said, for about 4 years now. So even when I was studying in my course, I was doing web development because I enjoyed it, and it was a great pastime. It didn't really seem like work to me. It was always leisure time. So there wasn't really like a line between work and pleasure, and it still isn't now. I quite enjoy doing it. I decided, this was very early on, decided not to sort of get a job. I know a lot of people do because they want to earn a bit of income, but I thought I'd invest my time in creating rich applications and just learning all sorts of fields like database and design and web development, all sort of stuff, because I knew that eventually it would pay off. And I guess now myself, I know so much that I can jump into any sort of role, IT-related role, and I can sort of not wing it, but I can do something pretty cool, which is great. I mean, you invest a sort of time and it pays off later on. Plus, you've got to have the enthusiasm. If it's not there, then you're just really not going to learn. So if you guys are keen on this sort of stuff, then pursue it, go for it. Now I'm working on large or medium to large size websites for companies. Just completed a website for a law firm in the city called Septimus Jones and Lee. And that was a great task, but as I mentioned before, it's not just, you don't just create the website and that's it. You've got maintenance and ongoing support that you've got to provide these companies. So there's always money coming in, which is the great thing about this sort of area. Plus, you can always extend it, so you've not just got the website you've developed, but you can also extend it to social media. So you create your Facebook pages for the companies and other online identities. And if you enjoy that sort of stuff, it's just you're earning money for something you enjoy doing. So this is the company. As I said, started up in 2007. I've got one business partner. He was actually, it's funny because I'm running another business aside from this, and there's another business partner there, but they're both about 30 years older than me. So it's great to hear what they have to say, because their opinions are really, I mean, they've certainly got a different frame of reference from me altogether, but we sort of work in harmony. It's quite good how the ideas flow. This is the company website now. I've been a bit lazy and haven't really put something newer together. But 3 years ago when we launched this website, it was like cutting edge. It was different. In fact, even to this day, it is the only one, or the only commercial website of its kind. And the reason that is because we developed this website as a clickless medium. In other words, you go to a website and you have to use your mouse and click on links and images to navigate throughout the website. With this website, you don't actually have to do any of that. You just use your mouse and hover over certain items, so your navigation, your images, pages, whatever it might be on the page. There's a lot of interactivity there, and you can navigate without clicking at all. We launched this because we thought that it would be great to accommodate the disabled people who aren't necessarily able to navigate through websites like the rest of us do. And in many cases, they can't actually perform that clicking function. So this website addresses that. We realized over about the next year that it wasn't really taking off because most people aren't disabled. So Microsoft released their Surface tablet. I don't know if you've seen the table, which is called Microsoft Surface. You pretty much interact with it with cameras that are underneath the table surface, and it monitors all the different interactions by your hands, by objects you place on the table, and the software sort of interprets that to display things on the screen. It's really quite cool. I would enjoy showing you this sort of stuff here, but I can't seem to connect to the network. This is sort of the process we go through with the development side of things. So, you know, this is something that if you do this for clients, you'll find you're following much the same sort of process. It's the best formula, really, because if you chop and change and move between, you know, different areas here, you'll most likely stuff it up. But you know, you gather requirements, so you find out what the business requires, what they're looking for, what they want to achieve, and you interpret that, create design for them, so how the website's going to function, the layout, navigation, and so forth, and you build it, implement it, and of course, very importantly, support. By the way, if you wanted to, if you've got, I noticed a few of you got smartphones here, so if you wanted to check out the Clickless website, if you've got Android 2.1 or 2.3 running, you'd probably get a nice WebKit-based browser, which would interpret the website quite nicely, and you'll get JavaScript running. So if you've got any Android or iPhones, check out spd.co, which is that one. And it's not the best thing for working with working on phones, because it requires you to hover, it requires hover states, but with the phone you kind of touch it, which is almost like a click, so it doesn't necessarily work as well, but you can see what I mean. One of the major clients which I developed a website for was IDEF. Did anyone actually go to the IDEF event in 2008, 2009, International Digital Entertainment Festival? Huge game expo. It's almost like CGBC, but it was open to the public, so anyone, wasn't just restricted to high school students. And this website took about 3 months to develop. It was a huge task because there was just a mass amount of content, and you can imagine all the events as part of IDEF. So that was a great project to work on. And certainly, you know, if you get the opportunity, no, I didn't get paid for this at the time because I was looking at this more from, you know, gaining experience. So it's a great way to work in a team, learn things from others who, you know, in a team-based environment where you can extend your skills and work on a massive project like this and add it to your folio, because ultimately your folio is going to really tell someone what you can do. You know, you can tell someone, but their folio is really going to show it. So I thought I'd make it a bit interesting and show you guys, from my opinion, where things are going. I mean, you see a lot of new things happening online. So you got your cloud computing, you got your apps, but we're really heading in that direction. So it's all becoming mobile, and everything which already exists is just heading that way, because everyone wants something, wants information, applications on demand. Probably quite aware of this. I'm guessing most of you have Android or iPhones. Yep. So you got your free and your paid apps. Most people, unfortunately, expect to get a free app. It's just become like that, where nobody wants to pay for anything anymore. And it was funny. My business partner was telling me that he went and did a presentation with a law firm, and there was a whole lot of lawyers in the room. Now these guys, you know, are sitting on, you know, $500,000, $1 million salaries, depending on what sort of position they're in. And he was telling them that this fantastic app would organize their meetings, their entire schedule, everything. And their reaction when he told them it would cost $12 was that, oh, you know, we're not going to pay for that. And it's like, well, you know, come on. You know, they're so used to getting everything for free. It's almost like it's their right to have this app for free. So unfortunately, it's going like that. And people, if you're looking to develop an app and you want to put it up there and make a couple of dollars for it because of your effort, it's becoming harder and harder to do that, because others are developing similar apps and putting out for free because, I don't know, you know, they want experience as well, and they just feel like, you know, it might give them some exposure. Does anyone here use Google Docs, Google Calendar, sync any of their stuff? Yeah, oh, fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, it's all cloud-based, as you know, so you don't have to worry about storage of the data. It's all there, and you know, Google's going to manage it and keep it and archive it, back it up, you know, years to come. In fact, I don't know if any of you are aware that you know, for about $5 a year, you can apparently have 10 gig of data to upload and as online storage. And I don't know if you're aware, but Google actually will keep that data and hold it there for you. You can't edit it or anything, but you can view it for as many years as you want in the future. They don't actually charge you for it. So if you stop paying your yearly fee of $5 for that 10 gig, or however much you get, you can keep it there. So it's like a permanent storage. It's, yeah.
With those live SkyDrive, they offer you
Yeah.
just for your email account.
Yeah, I found with SkyDrive, they actually sync with Office Live. But did you find that there was any issue with using the Office Live to edit documents and stuff online?
Not usually.
Yeah, because I tried uploading a few docs, Word and PowerPoint presentations, and it wasn't really interpreting it too well. But the SkyDrive certainly, if that's 25 gig, I mean that's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Google's only got a gig going at the moment for docs, but still great storage. I tend to, because of the restrictions of browsers like Firefox and Safari and so forth, you'll find that editing documents inside your browser won't be as effective as putting it on your computer and using Word or the installed PowerPoint to do it, because it doesn't have as many features. You notice you just got basic formatting like bolding text and dot points, but unfortunately they haven't gotten to the stage where you can reproduce the same document online. So I generally just upload my document and don't edit it in the browser. I download it every single time I want to make changes and then upload it again. This is, I guess, the most popular set of Google online cloud-based services. So Gmail, as I'm sure you all probably have a Gmail account, sync your calendar, Google Sites if you don't want to host anything. Turn it off. Do you want me to get going?
You can do what present.
I am, yeah. Cool. Is there a time?
No, you've just started, so I'm here to just check everything's running fine.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
Good. And Google Docs, as I mentioned before. Google Sites, if you don't want to necessarily pay for hosting, you can definitely sign up for Google Sites. But you've only got about 10 megabytes to upload data and stuff, but if you want to get a website up quickly, maybe it's for a school project or something, that's definitely something to look into. It removes all the need for paying for hosting, which can cost you anywhere from $10 to $180 a month or a year, I think.
Sorry to cut in. We're having problems with the labs, but they're being sorted out now. So just stay put. Someone will come tell you what room to go.
No worries. What happens if I want to leave? Get going out? Do you know which lab it is?
We're still working that out. It's one of the buildings, labs in building 19.
Okay.
In building 19, by the way, it's on the level 1.
Right.
So we've got the labs all the way through. We're getting the plate and tech to open doors and check if we've got the software.
No worries. Cheers. Apparently the labs will be on in building 19 level 1, so if we happen to leave here a bit earlier, I don't think I've got too much more to tell you guys, so if you want to head there afterwards, and I'll just find out what you guys know if you want to learn about web development to get started. I've got a whole lot of resources which can help you guys get going, because if you can approach companies and develop websites and get paid really well, and you can work from home, which is the best thing. So I can show you how to get started with that if you guys don't already know, or if you're more advanced and know JavaScript and PHP and all sort of stuff, we can do some more stuff on top of that, and feel free to ask me any questions you want. So yeah, that was building 19 level 1. Google, and you'll find Google and a lot of other websites are beginning to track user behavior. So if you visit their websites, you won't really necessarily know it, but cookies that are stored in your browser, which is like information the websites use to find out who you are and if you've logged into their website, also store this location data. And it's a means for them to track, I guess, trends in the market and find out how they can provide better services, but it can also be used maliciously. Google doesn't do that, but it does find out where you are, and if you're doing a search, for example, it will return results based on where your location is. So here in Melbourne, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you go to Google search pages, it tells you your location is Melbourne, asks you if you want to change it. But if you were to search for a local business and you didn't put anything about the country or any other information about state and so forth, and just the business name, it would return results based on businesses with that name in Melbourne, because it knows you're in Melbourne. So it's great for personalising searches, I guess. And that's certainly one of the benefits of using location data. When you're on the go, I don't know if does anyone use Google Maps on their phone? Yeah. Have you noticed the live traffic on the maps? Did you ever wonder how that works? If you've got maps running, what Google does is it pulls in your data, so your phone's actually communicating with the Google servers and sending your actual location through your GPS, and Google uses that data to find out how fast you're moving in traffic, and by sending that data at certain times, maybe every second, every 3 seconds, Google can determine how fast you're moving, and it matches that up with other people who are in the same area along the same stretch of road, and then it determines how congested that particular road is if you're moving slowly. If it's an 80-kilometre speed zone and you're moving at 20 k's, it knows it's pretty heavy peak hour traffic. So you'll notice it'll put a nice red line along that road to say that it's quite congested. I found it quite interesting how it used that data, because I would have figured that it would have had better results by pinging off cell phone towers, but I guess using the GPS is much more effective. Does anyone use services like Foursquare or Goala to check into places, aside from Facebook Places? No one's ever heard of it? Foursquare is very similar to Facebook Places. So with Facebook Places, you probably know already that you can check into a particular venue and share it with all your friends, or you check in other people as well. Foursquare does much the same thing, but it has, I guess, a more accurate database of the companies. Facebook's sort of getting to that. What happened initially was that Facebook launched Facebook Places, and each place or each business was a particular page, but businesses were creating multiple pages, or people were checking into them and giving them slightly different names with just spelling variations. So you end up with one business with about 10 different pages. Now Facebook's trying to go through it and merge all those pages together, but you'll find if you try to check into a place, you might find about 3 variations of the name. So that's a bit of a downfall of that, and I think Facebook sort of jumped on it a bit too quick. But a lot of people have an issue with privacy and people knowing where they are. Personally, I don't if I'm on the go, but if I'm at home and if anyone's heard about the latest HTML specification, it actually allows your location, your precise location, to be sent to any particular website. Of course, you have to allow that or grant access, but it can send your exact location, because what happens is if you're sitting on your home computer, you don't have GPS or anything sort of enabled on the computer at all, because computers don't really have GPS. You're probably wondering, how do they find out your location? What happens is when Google sent its Street View cars around the neighbourhoods, and I don't know if you heard about the thing on the news where people were lashing out at Google for picking up people's wireless networks. Well, they were doing that to try and find out exactly where those networks were in relation to others. So your computer would essentially be, as they call it, a node, and that node's relative to other nodes. And when your computer's at your house, it's not going to change position. So when you send location data, it tries to work out based on the other networks which it already picked up when its Street View van came around, and that's how it sends the GPS data. So it's pretty amazing. But I did it for my house, and it pinpointed exactly to the place where my house is, down to the street number and everything, which is quite amazing, because there's no, as I said, there's no GPS or anything or cell towers to bounce off of. So.
With the previous thing about locations, I did a few years on my own IP, and it had a location of where we were.
Oh yeah.
Because it's set by our ISP, it was set to Warrigal instead of Druin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So there's those things that can also get information from.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the one downfall of using IP addresses to reverse geocode, as they call it, they try to find out where, like you said, where try to find out where you are. But if you try and use an IP address, you can only ever get down to the city, like Melbourne, or Sydney or Perth. You could never get down to a particular suburb or your house number. The reason that is because your ISP, say it's iPrimus or Telstra, whoever, has the IP address matched to their company, iPrimus or Telstra, but the server which actually assigns the IP addresses is only in a city, so Melbourne or Sydney or Brisbane. And when a company like Google, for example, tries to reverse geocode that IP address to the location, it can never get past the city because that's where the main server is. When you go from your browser like Firefox or Safari, it's able to pick up your MAC address, which is a unique identifier for every single device. Like your phone, my laptop, all has a unique MAC address, and that's recorded, and which is why Google, using the Wi-Fi networks and nodes like a computer, can determine exactly where you are. So that's how it's able to get a more refined location from your computer, but the IP address will only go down to the city. But yeah, good point. It probably said Warragul because there could have been a server located in Warragul, most likely. But do you know if there's one there, or just pick that up? Did you just notice that?
They're based in Warragul, so they're around that area.
Okay, fair enough. Does anyone use Google Analytics to track any of their sites, or have you developed sites? Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Do you use Glimpse?
Glimpse? Never heard of it, no.
Oh, it's an iPhone application or Android where you send a text message or an email to a friend, and then they can bring it up on their Glimpse on computer or iPhone, and they can view your exact location.
Oh, okay.
And track you wherever you're going to spend that.
So do both people have to be using the same application?
No, the PC can be just in the web browser for that.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Can you imagine what your parents must be doing? Yeah, that's what apparently half of all parents who are on Facebook are only there just to monitor their kids. Serious fact. And another interesting fact is that 1 in 3 people who use Facebook or are signed up to Facebook will actually access Facebook from their mobile device. So it's just showing you that, how many more people are using mobile devices for the internet purposes. And if 1 in 3 are accessing Facebook from their mobile, just imagine how many are accessing mobile websites. And I'm sure you've come across the websites which aren't optimized for mobile. You have your small screen and they've just got this massive website loading up because it's only optimized for your desktop, laptop or something. So I actually started developing mobile websites. If any of you happen to have any network coverage, I'm with Vodafone, so I won't. But jump onto roadscholastraining.com, Road Scholars Training, and you'll see it's optimized for the mobile, and you'll see exactly what I mean by condensing all the content and so forth.
I can share my internet by Wi-Fi signature.
Yeah, okay. Is it, who are you with? Jump through this and might be able to show you a couple of websites if you're able to.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
What's your preferred web browser?
WebKit, so Chrome or Safari. Yeah, if you're using that, you're on the right track, or even Firefox. Basically anything other than Internet Explorer, please.
And do you think Google Plus will be the Facebook killer?
I do. I think that you'll find a lot of people will migrate over to Google Plus because Facebook has had its time, I guess. They're doing a lot of developments with Facebook, but I don't think that they could keep up with the scope that Google has over the industry. Google provides so many services and great products, and their philosophy, where they give more than they take, is fantastic, and Facebook really doesn't look at it that way, unfortunately. So I think Google Plus, especially the whole client base that Google has. So you've all got Gmail accounts, which essentially you've all got Google accounts, and that means that you're quite free to, when it's available, get a Google Plus profile. So yeah. But yeah, definitely back to your question. I would go for any WebKit-based browser, so Chrome or Safari. I prefer WebKit because it renders pages as they should be, and it's standards compliant, meaning it follows all the specifications. It rarely goes on a tangent and does something weird like Internet Explorer will do for just about every single attribute. Gecko, yeah, Firefox, fantastic browser. I actually use that, and I haven't migrated yet over to Chrome or anything. Chrome's very quick. Firefox is what I use to develop on, mainly because I don't find much variation in Firefox and Safari. I know that if I was developing something on Firefox, I have a 99.9% certainty that it's going to appear exactly the same on any WebKit browser. It's just like that. Internet Explorer, on the other hand, you find when you develop and you're trying to do cross-browser compatibility, you'll find you're putting in a lot of conditional statements to say, okay, well, for Internet Explorer 6, I'm going to do this. For Internet Explorer 7, I'm going to do that. IE 8, I'm going to do this. If you guys have come to the workshop, I can give you a link to a really good JavaScript script, which you can just embed in your page, and it tends to sort out most issues, so you don't have to use those conditional statements. It will actually fix up most of the problems that Internet Explorer has. It's a great time saver. I don't know what it's called, but it does do that as well, as one of the main things it does. I think with it's funny because end of last year, I noticed that about 10% of all Internet Explorer users will be using Internet Explorer 6. But now it's kind of dropped to about 3%, which is a great statistic. You can see that people are adopting the newer browsers. With Internet Explorer 6, I think a lot of web developers are getting so fed up with having to customize the browsing experience around it. And when you have a really complex website, so if you're doing it for like a large company and you've got 1,000 pages to deal with, maybe 10 different types of applications inside that, developing for IE is just, it's crazy. And what will end up happening is the client won't want to pay you for that extra work. They'll look at the pros and cons and say, look, it's better not to develop for IE6 at all, because you'll end up spending literally about double the amount of time you put into developing the website to actually customizing for Internet Explorer 6. It's really terrible. It is, I don't know what Microsoft is thinking, but they have most of the market share, so they can kind of get away with it. They're still not really listening, though. Yep.
I understand Chrome hasn't taken over Internet Explorer 6 compatibility. Why would people still develop for IE6 when they can just say, if someone browses their own IE6, so far this website explains everything?
Because, all right, let me put it this way. How many people, does anyone on their websites use AdSense, Google AdSense, to generate any money? Yep, so, sorry?
You can be 18 already.
Oh, okay, you could always fake that or get your parents to sign up, right? But I guess they'll want to keep the money, won't they? With AdSense, people can generate money. If anyone doesn't know what AdSense is, you can put ads through Google's network onto your website, and then people who come there can click those ads if they're interested in it, and you get like a commission from it. People earn thousands of dollars a month just from putting AdSense on their website, because they've got a high traffic website where you get 1,000 views a day or something like that. So if you've got a popular blog or whatever it is, and you've got a following, put AdSense on there. You probably pay for your hosting for that year. You offset that cost. But what I was getting to was that because so many people use AdSense, and think about it this way, 50% of all users are using Internet Explorer. 10% of that, so that's 5 out of 100, will be using, so what's that, 1 in 20 will be using Internet Explorer 6. Let's just put it that way. If you're getting, say, $2,000 a month from AdSense, and you're telling people who come there with Internet Explorer 6 that they can't really view the website, then you'd be losing 1/20th of that amount. And some people who people earn 40 grand sometimes, depending on how high traffic the website is, a month. So that's a lot of money to also be losing. The best way of doing it is to actually alert people to the fact they've got Internet Explorer 6, but not restrict any content. So by telling people, it's unfortunate you're using Internet Explorer 6, perhaps you'd like to use a standards compliant browser, and that usually works. You could list Firefox or Safari or whatever it is, and encourage them to upgrade essentially. But most people who move from IE, any version of IE basically, to, let's say, Chrome, it'll just be so much quicker. Their experience is enhanced tenfold. I don't know how many clients I've dealt with who I've loaded up IE6 or IE7 or whatever it is, and it's taken forever to load up. Do you guys find it's just so laggy? Yeah. Yeah. If you have to use it in any scenario, open it up with no add-ons. That it'll load up a bit quicker, just a little bit.
The only thing I found with Google Internet Explorer that's actually pretty good is because the amount of malware that's now been released for Windows 7, it gets statistics from when you download a file. It scans for anyone else who's downloaded that file and see if there's got any problems with it. So if it's like, if it's bad, it will tell you.
Oh, okay, that's not.
So it's got a bit more security, but it's just.
It's long overdue, I guess, though. I guess Chrome would use because Google has its database of search results, and it knows whether there's any malware. It picks up on any malware on websites. So I'm guessing that because Google has made Chrome would also link into that database. So if you were to go to a website that had malware, it would alert you to it. So I guess in that sense, it is more secure. But Firefox wouldn't have access to that unless you went to a Google page, looked at a result, and it told you it's dangerous. If any of you have seen that on search results, so probably all the peer-to-peer sites you're going to. With gaming, I'm guessing you're all here because you're interested in games, and you'd probably have noticed that online gaming through the browser isn't the richest experience. But has anyone looked into software development using Unity? Has anyone heard of Unity at all? Yeah. How did you find it? Did you find it easy to use, great to develop with?
No, I didn't. I just know about it.
Yeah.
So I've used it, I don't think.
Okay, it's certainly one of the best, in my experience, one of the better packages to be using. It's free as well. The only downside to it being free is that you don't get stuff like features like shadows, and you get this splash screen which says Unity at the beginning, but it looks quite cool, so I don't really mind it. If you wanted to get the pro version and not have that sort of stuff in there, it'd cost you about $500. But the great thing about Unity is that, much like Titanium, which you can develop for iPhone and Android, Unity will allow you to publish the game to any device essentially. So iPhone, Android, your web browser. This one here is actually from inside a web browser. It's Unity Web Player. So that's all 3D gaming inside the browser, which is great. I mean, to have those sorts of graphics inside the browser is just, I mean, it's really, as of about 2 or 3 years ago, it was sort of unheard of. But Unity's really taking over now with a lot of developers and sort of winning large studios over. But if you're interested in sort of games development, Unity is a great platform to develop on because it's got a huge community, and you'll find that it's just going to get better and better and better. And the fact that you can deploy your apps and your games to iPhone and Android is it's great. It means that if you had to develop for, it's sort of like the analogy with IE6 and Firefox, you're developing 2 systems essentially. So instead of doing that, you can just deploy it to all of them. Thought I would give you a bit of an idea of how you can, if you're looking to network or to start up any sort of business, even if it's in web development or games development, whatever it is, it's always good to have something to give people if you have to meet somebody who's important from a field of expertise that you're interested in, and you want to network with them. Really simple to get business card, and just put basic details like your name, your contact details, and what areas you're interested in and know about and you have expertise in. There's a great resource which has actually been, I'm surprised it's still there because I did this sort of presentation about a year ago, and fortunately this link is still valid. Vistaprint.com, they do a lot of stuff for your online printing needs. And this particular URL, if you go there, it'll take you to a page where you can get 250 business cards with a business card holder for free, of no charge. All you pay for is the shipping, and they let you customize your background, your name, all that sort of stuff, which is really fantastic. It's a great resource. So look into that, and it's free, just like maybe $8 shipping or whatever it costs, so it's good value. And this is my details. Unfortunately, I'm just getting these business cards printed up myself, which is the new one, so I can't give any out today. But feel free to email me if you've got any questions. I'll be in the workshop as well, so if you have any questions, definitely ask me if you want. And that's my business website. That's the clickless one if you wanted to check that out at some stage. Also, spd.co, which is a shorter version. Managed to get that, and that actually redirects, so it's probably easy to remember, spd.co. All right, well, that's about it. I think we'll be heading over to the workshop now. Thanks.